Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the last chapter of this series, which is, by the way, I think you'll want to hear it. I hope, because it's the last one. It's exciting, ain't it? Okay. This is a fic Chat at the Mall by blue_obsidian, and the chapter 5. I hope you all enjoy. Alright, you should be good to walk around now. Spitter put the last of the first aid supplies in this new location that multiple of them prepared, much to Izuku's surprise. They shouldn't get infected now that they're patched up, but I still wouldn't advise laying on anything from this place until it's cleaned off. We don't know what dirt and germs it could have collected. Spinner advised, and Izuku nodded. And don't think just because you're injured doesn't mean we're forgetting about what you said to All Might earlier. Nagina shouted from across the room. It was a beautiful takedown, but we would like you to explain some things to us. I'm so proud. Mr. Compressed choked a fake sob, wiping an imaginary tear where his eye would have been. Izuku let out a nervous laugh. He had gotten a bit too invested with chewing All Might out. He had forgotten the leak was there and could hear everything he was saying. I will, Izuku assured them. He walked out of the room quickly, walking through the spacious halls. The new base was very old and definitely abandoned, but other than the dust and bugs, it was relatively good condition, with food and water and multiple guest rooms. It's not like he didn't want to be near them. The opposite, really. He had someone he was trying to find at the moment. Shigaraki. Izuku knew that Shigaraki had seen All for One as a father figure, and given that All for One wasn't coming back to the base, he had either been captured or killed, and it was given that Shigaraki wouldn't be happy about it. So Izuku wanted to see how he was doing. Izuku stopped when he saw Kurogiri exit the room and waved him over. Is Shigaraki there? He asked. Kurogiri nodded. Yes, but he is in a bad mood, due to the loss of sensei, as you can imagine. His face formed something of a grimace. He isn't happy, snaps at anyone who tries to get close. He then gave Izuku what might have been a thoughtful look. You may be able to calm him down. He nodded and parted the way for Izuku, walking down the hall, presumably to check on the other league members. Izuku slowly cracked open the door, peeking inside. Shigaraki's room looked like a room. In spite of the relatively poor state of the base, he had several computer monitors and keyboards on a desk, and had bookshelves with multiple books, and had some video game drives. A small twin bed was tucked into the corner. All in all, it looked like a room that would belong to Shigaraki, like the room had been made specifically for him. Izuku also noticed Shigaraki collection of hands laying on the nightstand besides the bed. Kurogiri, I told you to get out. Shigaraki stopped when he saw it was in fact not Kurogiri, that he was peeking into his room. Hi, Izuku said awkwardly. It was still odd to see Shigaraki's obscured face, since Izuku was used to him wearing a hand over it most of the time. Ruby eyes narrowed. What are you doing here? Izuku took a deep breath. I want to see how you were doing since. Sensei is gone, Shigaraki spoke. Yeah, I know. No need to rub it in. I'm not trying to rub it in, Izuku explained. I just wanted to make sure you're relatively okay. Shigaraki scoffed. Yeah, I am. He looked away from Izuku, turning his attention to something else. Izuku couldn't tell. But Izuku did notice how Shigaraki didn't tell him to go away, so he walked in and stood beside Shigaraki, who was pressed up against the corner, his hood over his head and his hands in his pockets. Izuku noticed the awkward silence between the two, but he felt like Shigaraki was content to let the silence continue, so he said nothing. Experimentally, he had put a hand beside Shigaraki's, initiating some form of close contact. Shigaraki didn't push him away, so Izuku was content. Suddenly, Shigaraki pulled away and walked towards his nightstand, pulling a drawer open and taking out artist gloves that only covered the pinky finger and put them on. So he won't decay anything, Izuku realized. But why would Shigaraki be worried about that right now? Shigaraki walked to his previous spot, taking Izuku's hand in his own, not even saying anything to the matter. Izuku felt his face heat up, but he didn't say anything. Shigaraki seemed to enjoy the silence. It was about a few minutes later when Shigaraki let go, before stepping in front of Izuku, almost looming over him. Izuku blinked. Hi, what is it? He was cut off by two hands suddenly cradling his face, and then found chapped lips pressed against his own. He froze, his brain trying to keep up with what just happened. What was happening? He realized the situation. His face felt like it was on fire, with pain covering almost every inch of it. He was still trying to fully process what just happened, even when Shigaraki pulled away slightly. His face still right in front of Izuku's. Red eyes were peering into his own. Shigaraki, he began. Komi Tomura. Shigaraki Tomura interrupted. Okay, Tomura. His eyes squinted in what seemed like joy. Izuku couldn't tell. He felt lips pressed against his own again. This time, he could actually understand what was happening. He was less tense. His jaw untightened and his arms wrapped themselves against the older man's waist. Neither of them rejected this close contact. If anything, they actively sought it out. Neither of them had been able to touch so toughly, so affectionately since they were children. Too many years of touch starvation was catching up to both of them, and they weren't pulling away from this close contact anytime soon. Tomura broke away from the kiss. You're the first person to have let me get this close, he murmured. His hands tilted upward so his finger could scrape at the curly hair while his palms rested against the other boy's cheek. Tomura hadn't exactly been thinking clearly when he had kissed Izuku. He just had been touched. That was all. But no one had touched him so gently before. He wanted more. He wanted to be closer, to feel closer. He wanted to touch and touch and touch. It wasn't enough. He wanted to be closer, to feel closer. Thankfully, the boy seemed to share his feelings as he pressed himself against the older man, this time initiating the kiss. Tomura kissed Izuku harder, begging for more contact. He heard the boy squeak adorably and felt the grip around his waist tighten. Sensei wouldn't mind. Tomura knew that. Sensei said he could have anything he wanted if he earned it, and Tomura knew he had earned this. At that thought, Tomura felt a wave of possessiveness go through him. He broke away from the kiss again, playfully biting at Izuku's earlobe. Mine, he growled, tightening his grip on Izuku. He felt a shiver go through the boy, who breathed shakily. Yours, the boy agreed. Tomura felt excited now. Hungrily, he began nibbling and kissing Izuku's cheek, craving more touch. He felt Izuku trembling, holding on to him tightly. Tomura's hand traveled to the boy's waist, pulling him even closer, keeping him in place. Unable to escape, Shigaraki thought with a slight thrill. You're mine now, Izuku. All mine, he growled. I hope you know that. I do, Izuku breathed. I really do. He leaned onto Tomura, using his body to support his own. I love you, Tomura. Tomura let out a raspy laugh. I know. I love you too, Izuku. He pulled away from the younger boy's neck and kissed him on the lips again. When they pulled away from each other, they rested their foreheads against one another, soaking in the other's warmth, basking in their touch. Suddenly, Izuku retracted his hands from Tomura's waist, put one of his waists on his shoulders, leaning down to look at his neck. Izuku was observing Tomura's neck because it looked worse than yesterday. Tomura had probably done a lot of scratching since his sensei was captured. Opening old scabs. You need to take better care of your neck, he scolded softly, placing gentle kisses on the contest of Tomura's rough biting from earlier. Tomura let out a raspy laugh. That sounds like something you'd say, he said, leaning into the gentle kisses Izuku was placing on his neck. Suddenly Tomura threw them both on the small twin bed. It was slightly uncomfortable, trying to fit two people on the mattress, but Tomura then proceeded to grab Izuku and turn him towards him, spooning him. Almost instinctively, Izuku wrapped his hands around Tomura's waist again, nuzzling his face into Tomura's neck, and the pale-haired man rested his head on top of the soft curls on the younger boy. They were both asleep in minutes. Kurogiri was becoming slightly worried. It had been 10 minutes since Izuku Midoriya had entered the lion's den and still hadn't come back out. Reluctantly, he dusted himself off and went to check and make sure Tomura Shigaraki hadn't decayed their newest recruit. He opened the door and was faced with a sight he did not expect to see. There on the bed was Izuku Midoriya and Tomura Shigaraki, cuddling. Kurogiri blinked before feeling a warmth fill his chest. He walked over and took out another blanket from under the bed and draped it over the two boys. His eyes squinted happily, and he quietly left the room. And if anyone had noticed his unusual good mood, then no one commented on it. It wasn't a perfect day. They had lost their family, their homes, their secret identities. Tomura's sensei was gone too. But that didn't matter, because Tomura had found someone to love, and in this moment, at this time, Kurogiri felt that somehow everything would be alright. And I hope all of you enjoyed this series. If you have any recommendations for what I should read or requests, leave them in the comments, because I don't know what I'll read next week. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you'll have a lovely weekend, and good night, good morning, good day to everyone.